Good morning, fellow teachers and staff. My name is Alicia Barrass and I am one of the Year 4 teachers. Today I will be advocating for inclusive education and showing my support of the aligned practices as well as establishing the much needed transition from segregation to inclusion within our school. It has been brought to my attention by a newly enrolled family with Alana in Year 6 and the twins Giorgio and Luca in Year 4 the blatant ableism this school is enabling. When they began, their parents were very surprised to find out that Luca would have been taught in a different part of the school, estranged from his brother because he has low vision and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I strongly believe we all have the knowledge and skills to effectively differentiate for individual learner needs within classrooms. Australia has a commitment to inclusive education as well as frameworks to support teachers, parents and students. In the prevention of othering, we can all embed differentiation and adjustments into our classrooms to ensure the social, emotional, academic and well-being needs are being met by a diverse range of students. Inclusive education is a system by which accommodates to all students whatever their abilities or requirements and at all levels. This is important within Australia because every child has the right to an education that is equitable, dignified and gives opportunity for full participation. It promotes social justice by ensuring all students, including those with disabilities, learn together in mainstream classrooms, fostering diversity, belonging and equal opportunity. There are many factors entwined into Australia's commitment to equitable access and participation in education, such as the Disability Standards for Education 2005, by which was updated from the Disability Discrimination Act from 1992. The Australian Professional Standards for Teaching, APSTs, holds teachers and pre-service teachers accountable for their practices. The Global Goals from the United Nations also promotes quality education, aiming to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all in their fourth world goal. The Australian curriculum explores the importance of student diversity and inclusion within the classroom through the integration of different social, cultural, community and family background and how they bring a wide range of physical, cognitive, sensory and social emotional abilities to classrooms with their unique experiences, strengths and ideas. Before the Disability Discrimination Act that was implemented in 1992, schools had the right to gatekeep, by which means schools had the right to refuse admission of a person with a disability of any form. However, since then, it is illegal to discriminate against a person on the grounds of their disabilities. In the 1800s, in Australia, students with sensory impairments such as blindness or low vision, deafness or hard of hearing were the first to be segregated within education. People with intellectual impairments were still denied education in mainstream schools or were forced into a segregated institution up until the 1990s. Australia has significantly evolved since then, especially with the introduction of the Disability Standards for Education in 2005, which seeks to eliminate discrimination against people with disabilities, ensure the same rights to equity before the law in the area of education and training, and to promote recognition and acceptance within the community of the principle that persons with disabilities have the same fundamental rights as the rest of the community. The segregation unit of the school should be terminated to effectively promote inclusion within our community. Every child has rights, and the principles of social justice underpin our understanding of human rights. There are conceptions of what a just society looks like, consisting of care, respect, dignity, equity, freedom, and liberty. We as a Catholic school have a duty to adhere and model the Catholic social teaching ways of thinking, being, and seeing the world. We need to provide a vision for a just society in which dignity of all people is recognised and those who are vulnerable, such as disadvantaged students, are cared for. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights frames a minimum set of standards for how people should be treated. In Article 26, it states that everyone has the right to education and that primary education shall be free and compulsory. Although with our current segregated unit, the children are still being educated, it is not inclusive, equal, equitable, or right. There is also the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, with the purpose of it to promote, protect, and ensure the full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms by all persons with disabilities, and to promote respect for their inherent dignity. The Australian Disability Discrimination Act makes disability discrimination unlawful and promotes equal rights, equal opportunity, and equal access for people with disability. Within this act, it explicitly states a person with a disability has the right to study at any educational institution in the same way as any other student. Educators must offer a person with a disability the same educational opportunities as everyone else, meaning that children should be included into the classrooms just as any other student to eliminate the segregation that is being compulsory implemented upon them. The Convention on the Rights of the Child Act, Point 23, states every child with a disability should enjoy the best possible life in society. Government should remove all obstacles for children with disabilities to become independent and to participate actively in the community. Lastly, the Australian Professional Standards for Teachers framework, introduced in 2010, was developed to help teachers understand and develop teacher practice and expertise to, in turn, have maximum impact on learners. Regarding inclusion, the aligned APSTs can be seen on the screen, by which are standards 1.3, 1.5, 1.6, and 7.2. All frameworks just explored previously are all intertwined and linked to children's rights, human dignity, social justice, equitable access, and overall frameworks and policies that encompass inclusive education. The Bronfenbrenner bioecological model will assist in the understanding of the diverse relationships impacting Luca's development. This ecology of human development framework incorporates the disciplines of psychology and sociology and suggests that a child's development is impacted by their environment. Strongly influenced by Vygotsky, who recognized that learning always occurs within and cannot be separated from social contexts. Bronfenbrenner's model recognizes that as the child develops, relationships become more complex and reciprocal. This model is made up of 5 ecological forces. The first is the microsystem, which is the relationship between a child and their parents or caregivers, siblings, neighbors, and peers. Next is the mesosystem, which focuses on the interactions between 2 or more microsystems, such as the connection between home and school or between family and community. Then the exosystem, which although does not have a direct interaction with the child like the previous systems, it does still significantly impact them. The macrosystem is the outermost system around the outside of the graph, by which represents the cultural, societal, and political environment in which a child lives. Lastly is the chronosystem, which refers to the role of time in a child's development, considering the changes and consistencies over time that influence growth, such as life transitions and historical events. This model shows the specific benefits directly related to Luca in the sense that in being put in the classroom and embracing active participation within the setting, it builds the necessary relationships, interactions, and interrelationships for an inclusive education. With the cooperation between parents, teachers, Luca, and any other important stakeholders, it sets Luca's 5 interrelated systems up for success as well as his 5 social systems. Although there may be implications to inclusion in the sense that the in-class differentiation is not done successfully and catered to the needs of the specific student, could have negative implications. However, with teacher training, in-school mentorship programs, framework implementation, and appropriate resources, this integration of units can be successful. The Family Schools Partnership Framework, by which provides resources for schools to develop respectful and ongoing partnerships with families of all key dimensions revolve around communication, connection learning at home and school, build community and identity, recognize the role of the family, consult on decision making, collaborate beyond the school, and participation. Regular check-ins with Luca are important in benefiting from improved academic outcomes, social enhanced skills, greater self-esteem, and a stronger sense of belonging. Parents are the best possible reliable advocates for their child, meaning that because they have known their child since birth and have been there throughout the diagnosis of their impairments, they are important sources of personalized knowledge that bring insight to the child's learning, interests, strengths, and personality, which make parents highly valuable assets. However, some implications and frustrations that parents face is the mental energy, resources, and time it takes to undertake the role of a parent of a disabled child within schools. Luca has been diagnosed with low vision as well as ADHD. These disabilities, however, can be on the same basis. Adjustments need to be considered and cautiously planned regarding changes to curriculum, facilities, and activities so Luca has the same opportunities of access and participation as his peers. Some evidence-based strategies consist of considering how you communicate as a teacher, design and tailor inclusive activities, consider where students are seated, structure classes through expectations of daily routines, provide feedback where applicable, teach academic skills, and support students' self-management. Differentiation for Luca's low vision consists of identifying different ways a student can learn. By selecting the best font types and spacing for printed materials, using hands-on learning and tactile materials, describe images with words, encourage rereading materials to support reading comprehension. Also consider the environmental setup by letting them choose their perfect seating that best suits them. Increase your handwriting size on the boards, and lastly, practice literary skills and provide consistent reading practice. These are simple yet effective evidence-based strategies that can be implemented for a diverse learner like Luca. However, as previously mentioned, regular check-ins will need to be implemented with Luca to re-evaluate strategies and adjustments to ensure he feels supported at all times. The medical model of disability conceives disabilities as caused by a person impaired as something abnormal or deficient that requires treatment, rehabilitation, or correction. For example, in reference to Luca, the medical model views ADHD as a neurodevelopmental disorder within the individual caused by brain dysfunction and proposes medication to correct it. Currently, Australia is in this model, however, is moving towards a social model of disability by which is much better suited. The social model conceives disability as caused by society and the environment. For example, with Luca, the social model views ADHD not as an individual deficit, but as a condition that becomes a disability due to the societal barriers, stigma, and lack of accommodations. Therefore, in changing the environment and social interactions of Luca, it enables the social model which Australia is striving for. Differentiation is about getting to the same place as your peers and achieving the same learning outcomes, you just get there in different ways. This is done by varying the content, environment, processes, and product in the classroom. However, there are varying models of differentiation that teachers can embed to assist in their adjustments to promote inclusion. The first is the Universal Design for Learning, or UDL, which its aim is to ensure learner agency that is purposeful and reflective, resourceful and authentic, strategic, and action-oriented. Through providing choices centered on flexibility and simplicity of this model, it aligns to students' interests, strengths, motivations, and identities. This is provided through 3 domains: multiple means of engagement, representation, and expression. To eliminate barriers, teachers must utilize various forms of representation of content and information, action and expression of various multimodal and multi-forms of engagement, as what works for one student may not work for another. As this UDL framework is grounded in neuroscience, which identified 3 key learning networks in the brain of affect, recognition, and strategy that aligns with the 3 key domains. The next differentiation model is the Maker model developed by June Maker in 1982, which aims to fully engage and extend gifted students in differentiating learning into 4 key areas of content, process, product, and environment. It is applicable and inclusive to all students, resulting in readiness, interest, and learning profile, as you can see on the graph. They are all intertwined. To conclude, inclusive education is an ever-evolving practice by which needs to be embedded into all Australian schools. Although we as a nation are currently more leaning towards the medical model of disability, the goal is to transition to the social model of disability, especially within our school. With the implementation of differentiation models like the Universal Design for Learning and the Makers model, underpinned by the theories such as Bronfenbrenner's bioecological model, I believe we as teachers can effectively support inclusive learners within our classrooms to extend the social, emotional, academic, and well-being needs are being met by a diverse range of students, including Luca. Thank you.